Let's jump right into this explainer. We are looking at one single, absolutely historic night. Thursday, June 4th, 2026. This is the exact moment where tech, finance, and space exploration didn't just intersect, they literally collided head-on to rewrite the future, basically in real time.
It was a totally unprecedented moment, a night where history pivoted on multiple axes all at once. We're going to dive into how these seemingly separate breaking headlines, from a massive tech IPO to a literal rocket explosion and billion-dollar AI overhauls, actually form this huge interconnected web of cause and effect.
So here's our roadmap for unpacking this. We'll start with the night of convergence. Then we'll look at SpaceX shattering IPO records, unpack Bitcoin's billion-dollar cascade, shift over to the consumer AI revolution, and finally dive into the next space age.
Okay, Section 1, the night of convergence. Let's get right into it.
Section 2, SpaceX shatters IPO records. So our anchor event here is an aerospace giant completely rewriting Wall Street's rulebook. $75 billion. Seriously, let that sink in. SpaceX announced an IPO aiming to raise a staggering $75 billion at a fixed take-it-or-leave-it price of $135 a share. That absolutely dwarfs Saudi Aramco's previous historic record of $25.6 billion. Elon Musk is basically skipping the whole traditional roadshow negotiation, strutting right into the market and setting this astronomical $1.75 trillion valuation straight out of the gate. It's a flex of just unprecedented proportions in modern finance.
But okay, here's the crazy part. The real story is actually buried deep in their SEC filing. They have a massive $1.29 billion Bitcoin treasury. That is exactly 18,712 Bitcoin. So what does this mean? It means retail investors aren't just buying into space exploration and Starlink's global data infrastructure. No, they're getting direct, unavoidable exposure to the wild volatility of crypto. Oh, and add to that the fact that Musk is retaining over 82% voting control. So public shareholders are essentially strapping themselves into the passenger seat for whatever wild ride he decides to take. It's not just a standard investment, it's a massive leap of faith in a single architect.
Moving right along to Section 3, Bitcoin's billion-dollar cascade. Now, while SpaceX was pulling all those billions into traditional markets, that capital had to come from somewhere, right? Driven heavily by this massive capital rotation out of digital assets and into high-flying IPOs and AI stocks, Bitcoin just plunged. It dropped below $62,000. We're talking over $1.5 billion in leveraged crypto positions completely wiped out in just 24 hours. And Bitcoin alone accounted for over 800 million of that devastation, with Ethereum and other altcoins eating the rest of the shock. Basically, algorithmic stop losses triggered the absolute second supported $66,000 failed, and it created this brutal, self-reinforcing sell-off loop that caught thousands of over-leveraged traders totally off guard.
So, the really crucial question here is, does this mark the catastrophic end of the bull cycle, or is it just an aggressive but, healthy correction? Well, the bear case is heavy. It points to 5 straight days of ETF outflows, broken technical supports, and honestly, just sheer market fear. But on the flip side, the bull case is equally fascinating. We saw this rapid V-shaped recovery, bouncing right back to $64,000 in under 12 hours. The excessive, greedy leverage got totally flushed out, the weak hands were cleared off the board, and on-chain metrics show that long-term holders actually accumulated heavily during the panic. So as long as it holds above that 60K level, this looks way more like a healthy purge than a macro top, which kind of sets the stage for more resilient growth down the line.
All right, Section 4, the consumer AI revolution. Pivoting from macro finance to the devices we all carry in our pockets, we are witnessing the absolute death of passive technology. Look at Apple. They are making a massive, existential gamble here by essentially abandoning their legendary self-reliance to partner with 2 of their biggest rivals, Google and NVIDIA. We're talking an estimated $1 billion a year AI overhaul just to resurrect Siri from irrelevance in iOS 27. They're deploying Google's Gemini as the foundation model, they're running it on NVIDIA Blackwell B200 GPUs, and it's all hosted on Google Cloud. I mean, for a company that has been so historically obsessed with privacy and keeping absolutely everything in-house, going out and essentially buying their brain from Google, that is a seismic, almost ironic shift.
But to pull off this massive privacy pivot without completely destroying their core brand, they're utilizing NVIDIA's confidential computing. This creates a hardware-level trusted execution environment. So how it works is, first, your data stays completely encrypted even while the GPU is actively processing your requests. Second, neither Google Cloud admins nor NVIDIA can peek at those operations. And finally, the results are decrypted solely by Apple, right there on your local device. It guarantees that not even Google can access your plain text queries. If Apple can actually execute this flawlessly, they're going to instantly transform 1.4 billion devices into the world's most secure AI assistants overnight.
Meanwhile, on that exact same night, Samsung came out aggressively challenging Apple's dominance in health. They rolled out an update for the Galaxy Watch 9 packed with proactive AI. So we're no longer just looking at passive step counters or basic heart rate monitors, right? Now, features like the daily cardio load and heart health score analyze your vitals to actively tell you when you're overtraining and genuinely need to take a break, or they'll actually alert you when you should go consult a doctor. Your smartwatch is essentially becoming a personalized, proactive AI health coach, which completely changes how we interact with our own biology every single day.
Moving on to Section 5, the next space age.
Leaving our smartwatches behind for a minute and looking up at the cosmos, we see this stark contrast between scientific perfection and the incredibly brutal reality of rocketry. On the perfection side, NASA just wrapped up a flawless final inspection of the 2.4-meter primary mirror for the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. Now, when you compare Roman to the legendary Hubble and Webb telescopes, it's pretty mind-blowing. While Hubble gives us these incredibly deep, zoomed-in views with a very narrow field, Roman provides a panoramic field of view that is literally 100 times larger than Hubble's. Launching in August 2026, it's going to accomplish in one lifetime what would literally take Hubble centuries to do. It's going to massively accelerate our search for dark energy and habitable exoplanets by mapping out billions of galaxies all at once.
But actually reaching the stars to deploy tools like Roman, that is notoriously brutal. Just days earlier, a massive thermal blast radius spanning 7,174 feet was created by Blue Origin's catastrophic New Glenn rocket explosion down at Cape Canaveral. During what was supposed to be a routine static fire test, the vehicle just erupted into the largest fireball in the facility's history. It completely destroyed the rocket and severely damaged Launch Complex 36. It's a really visceral reminder that space is hard, it's unforgiving, and it is incredibly dangerous.
And despite Blue Origin's CEO Dave Limp's pretty audacious promise of a late 2026 relaunch, the compounding delays paint a much harsher reality check. Think about it. You're looking at 6 to 12 months just for pad reconstruction. And that overlaps with a lengthy, super bureaucratic FAA investigation, plus the massive amount of time it takes to build a brand new vehicle entirely from scratch. Honestly, a Q1 or Q2 2027 relaunch is way more realistic for their crucial Artemis lunar cargo missions. It's a stark reminder of the massive engineering hurdles standing in the way of our cosmic ambitions, especially when you contrast it with SpaceX's concurrent financial victory lap.
So what does this historic convergence mean for our future? As we wrap up this explainer, we really have to pause and ask ourselves how we're going to adapt to this breakneck acceleration. Over the course of just a single night, we witnessed the deep privatization of space, the volatile financialization of digital assets, the democratization of AI right in our pockets, and the quantification of our personal health. The future isn't just approaching gradually anymore, it's arriving all at once. The real question is, are you ready for it? Thanks so much for joining me today, and as always, keep wondering and stay curious.